Hello and welcome to episode number 227 of WITM. Andrew will be in action. He's going to be taking on the self-proclaimed king of the Cruiserweights, Neville, in singles action. But before that, he is headed into the ring, microphone in hand. Let's hear what 205 Live General Manager Andrew has to say. And Andrew speaks, and these are Andrew, the real life Andrew's own words. I'm going to get right to doing what I'm about to do. Titus O'Neil, come out here right now.
Make it move, make it move, make it $1 million move, make it move, make it move, make it $1 million move, make it move, make it move, make it $1 million move, make it move, make it move, make it $1 million. Now everybody move, move. Now everybody move, move. Now everybody move, move. Now everybody move, move. Make it move, make it $1 million moves, got $1 million swagger and $1,000 shoes. Make it move, make it move, make it $1 million move. Got $1 million way to get it. All we do is pick and choose. Make the move, we can't lose. We get money, act the fool. Took on 100, talking thousands. When they spit that all on dudes. Talking diamonds, ain't we grinding? Ain't we shining on them suckers? Talking dollars, Trump and Donald, they keep climbing on them suckers. Ain't nobody, can't nobody out there touch us. All the players wanna be us, all the ladies wanna love us. Don't forget us for a bit. Sitting next to Warren Buffett, what we talking money. Mention that you must discuss us, and it's just us at the.
Andrew speaks. I'm going to get right, sorry, wrong one. Titus, what you did last week on 205 Live was uncalled for. Don't give me that dumb look like you don't know what I'm talking about. Let me enlighten you about what you did wrong. It wasn't managing your buddy by standing ringside. It wasn't by distracting me. Here is what you did wrong. You slid a steel chair inside the ring, and Tozawa used that same chair on me when the referee's back was turned. Normally, I wouldn't complain if it was another 205 Live wrestler, but by you assisting in that attack by sliding that steel chair into the ring, it's the same equivalent of you personally attacking me, and in that lies the problem. You assisted in an attack when you are not a member of 205 Live. So Titus, what do you think I should do? Titus responds, send me off with a warning? Andrew responds, no. I think since you helped in an attack and want to hurt me, we should fight next week inside this 205 Live ring. Titus responds, "But Andrew, I'm not a cruiserweight. I can't lay a hand on you." Andrew responds, "Well, I guess that stinks for you, doesn't it?" Andrew laughs. "But seriously, there is another way you could make it up to me. First, you're banned from coming ringside to manage on 205 Live ever again. Second, you're going to be my personal assistant. You're going to drive me everywhere, take my phone calls, and iron and lay out my clothes for the next day." Titus responds, "Okay, let's talk about my future in the back." Alright, so Andrew making his statement using Titus O'Neil. He will not tolerate any violation of the rules whatsoever. Coming down hard on Titus O'Neil, who slid a chair under the ring last week for Tozawa to use when he was managing his Titus Worldwide member, Akira Tozawa. Tozawa would hit Andrew with the chair while Titus distracted the referee, and that would help lead to a Tozawa victory over Andrew. So, Andrew and Titus are talking about Titus' future backstage. It sounds like he has an ultimatum. Either have a match with Andrew, which he's pretty much banned from being able to do, or become Andrew's personal assistant. So we'll have to stay tuned for future 205 Lives and find out what transpires between Andrew and Titus O'Neil. But for now, it's time for some in-ring action on 205 Live. Andrew is going to be in action, and it should be an intriguing matchup as he is going to be taking on the self-proclaimed king of the Cruiserweights, Neville.
Triple threat action next. We have one of the best talents on the roster to date against two of WWE's toughest competitors.
Before that, one moment. Grand Metalik defeats now no longer a member of Titus Worldwide, has to stand alone. Akira Tozawa. Titus Worldwide is now down to just Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews on SmackDown. Rich Swann defeated Tony Nese. And now it's time for our in-ring action here for episode 227. Andrew, currently the number one contender to the Cruiserweight Championship held by Lince Dorado, looks to remain number one contender, taking on the man who calls himself the king of the Cruiserweights, the real-life Cruiserweight Champion, Neville. Andrew versus Neville was our episode 227 action. Let's get underway.
Hold on to your seats. We have singles action coming up next.
This is going to be good.
We have one of our breakout talents versus Neville.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see these two go at it.
And here we
A
go.
superstar gets a certain
Two of the
feeling
biggest
when he knows
faces
there's a
of the
strong
Cruiserweight
possibility
division,
he may exit the
Andrew
match
and
in a
Neville,
completely different
do
condition
battle
than he entered.
on
That's
205
not exactly a
Live.
comforting thought when it's your career.
Oh, you're
Andrew
right.
specifically
And there's
named
nothing like a
out
little
Neville
WWE mano
when
a
talking
mano
about-
to get that blood flowing.
Mano a mano. One fall.
And then he
And you know
believes
what? I
can
would
be the
have it no other
cornerstone
way.
of 205 Live.
That move at this juncture of the match makes the intention unmistakable.
Irish whip into
to
the
be
corner.
little.
Trying to humiliate your opponent. There's no
Bulldog
place
by
for that
Andrew.
here.
Reversal by Neville.
And the pain has to be shooting through his face.
And a flying punch. Now Neville looking to take flight.
He's not looking like himself
And
here.
a
He's really
it's like a
gonna need to
reverse
create some
version of
space
his
for
red
himself.
arrow
I'm not
already.
concerned. I don't think I've ever seen him look more motivated than he looked heading into
Reversal
this
by
match.
Andrew.
It's a good point, John. And I'd say this match is about as even as
Irish
it
whip
can get at this
into
point.
the ropes.
Look out. He's got his sights set on that
And a
region.
neck breaker. Now Andrew looking to take flight. He says two can play at that game. And diving axe handle connects. Stomp to the arm. Neville would avoid the second stomp. And looking for Hurricane Rana, but Andrew picks up Neville and powerbombs him. What a great reversal there by Andrew.
Neville not in a good spot
Elbow
here.
drop
He
to
may
the
have to start
ankle.
reevaluating his game plan.
Look at this guy. He's better than what
Drags
we're
Neville
seeing
closer
right
to center
now.
ring.
Oh, it's been a great match up to
Brings
this
him on
point,
his
and
back.
this could really go either way.
And an elbow drop to the ankle once again.
And
Andrew
here's
goes
an
for
early
cover.
cover.
Looking to make quick work of Neville.
And an easy kick out
And
breaks
Neville
up the
powers out
referee's
at two.
count.
Andrew thinking ground elbow strikes, but Neville is able
Nice
to reverse.
reversal.
Neville
Neville is
sit out
making his
power
presence
bomb.
known.
And now Neville looking to make
Neville
quick
makes
work
the
of
cover.
Andrew.
There's not a person in this arena who
And
thought that was
Andrew's
it
going
for
to
him.
power out
No,
at two.
this guy's too strong. This guy's too powerful. He was able to
Reversal by
reverse that.
Andrew. Irish whip into the corner. Forces Neville to the top turnbuckle.
No, cut off at the last second.
And
He's got to be vigilant
Neck
about
breaker
not
by
taking
Andrew.
any more damage to the neck.
Andrew
He's having
to
a
the
seriously
apron.
hard time getting
looking to
back
take
to his
flight.
feet
He wants
after that.
Neville on his feet. And
He almost took his
springboard
head off with that
forearm
lariat.
connects. Stomp
Oh,
to the
look at
head.
the emotion.
Andrew getting fired up. Stomp to the back. Now
Neville's
mounted
starting to
punches.
weaken. He'll need to find a way to turn things around here.
Well, these guys have been so
Forces Neville
tightly
to his
matched
feet.
up until now, but this might be where that finally starts to change.
But Neville reverses
This is
with a
where
clubbing
being one
blow
of
to the
WWE's
back.
most disciplined competitors will really pay off, Michael.
Gotta
Looking
take your
for
time and wait it out.
appeared a variation of a brain buster, but Andrew reverses, and the two-handed bulldog, I believe Neville's head caught the bottom rope there. Now Andrew, vintage Andrew here, the Andrew stomp, stomping away at every single part of the body of Neville. And Andrew goes for cover.
And the shoulder's up now.
Neville
That's a
powers
kick
out at two.
Nice. I don't believe it. He refuses to lose.
Headbutt to
He's
Neville.
showing no signs of letting up.
Forces Neville up.
Uh-oh, look at this.
Locks in the rolling knee bar.
And there's the submission hold. Will this do it?
It's locked in well. And Neville's going to tap. That's going to do it. Andrew will remain the number one contender to the Cruiserweight Championship. He defeats the king of the Cruiserweights, Neville. right, so Andrew picks up a big victory over Neville. That'll keep him in the #1 contendership slot as we march on towards SummerSlam, about a month away now.
Singles action coming your way. We have one of the best talents
And
on
the
the
man
roster
he'll
today,
be hoping to face at
taking on some tough
SummerSlam,
competition.
Lince Dorado, the Cruiserweight Champion, is in the main event and Falls Count Anywhere action against Brian Kendrick. And Lince Dorado will win his non-title match against Brian Kendrick. And we'll see how these results affect the rankings on 205 Live. All right. Grand Metalik defeated Akira Tozawa and Ho Ho Loon. Metalik moves up to number 3. Tozawa falls to number 6. And Ho Ho Loon falls to number 10. Rich Swann defeated Tony Nese. Swann moves up to 10. Nese falls to 14. Neville lost as well, so Neville falls down to the bottom, the opposite of where he is in real life. In real life, the Cruiserweight Champion, and WITM at the bottom of the Cruiserweight Championship rankings. Andrew defeated Neville. No change because Neville is at the bottom, and Andrew is #1 contender. Lince Dorado defeated Brian Kendrick. We already moved Brian Kendrick down, and Lince Dorado is champion, so no change there. And the top 5 contenders to the Cruiserweight Championship, held by Lince Dorado, are #1 Andrew, #2 Noam Dar, #3 Grand Metalik, #4 Brian Kendrick, and #5 Cedric Alexander. And one thing that that we haven't done in a long time that I just thought about, that I should probably start making a practice of doing at the end of every week, is we already do the rankings update at the end of every show, but we also haven't checked in a while on the status, effects, and momentum of the WITM wrestlers, so I'm going to do that now. We'll go in alphabetical order, and we'll see where the WITM 5 stands with status effects. Andrew has a modest momentum effect stacked 1. That increases his momentum and defensive attributes by 1. He remains at his base overall of 96. Corey also has now on his first winning streak. That's how you get the momentum, by putting together winning streaks. Also has a momentum stacked 1, increasing his momentum and defensive attributes each by 1, and he remains at his base overall of 93. Dalton Roush has no status effect currently, so he remains at his base overall of 92. Gerald in the best shape momentum-wise so far of the WITM 5. He has momentum stacked 3, increasing his momentum and defensive attributes each by 3, and his overall is, I believe, up 1 to 89 from his base of, I believe, 88, maybe 87, and up 2, not positive. And finally, last but not least, Michael Holt. Despite suffering a loss to Corey on the most recent NXT, he does still have a momentum status effect, increasing his momentum and defensive attributes each by 1. And his overall remains the same at 91. So now we move on to Raw. We'll see if the Intercontinental Champion Gerald is in action in non-title action. And not pictured there with the rest of the champions, so it looks like that's a no. And he is not in action, so we will sim. and jot down the results from this edition of Raw and see how that affects the rankings on Raw. Sheamus and Cesaro defeat the Usos in non-title action. New Day defeats The Miz Taraj. Dean Ambrose, the Triple Crown champion, unsurprisingly defeats Wesley Blake. Rusev, unsurprisingly, defeats Buddy Murphy. Kevin Owens defeats Braun Strowman. Nikki Bella gets a non-title victory, defeating Raw Women's Champion Asuka. And in the main event, Brock Lesnar defeats Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura in triple threat action. And we'll see how that affects the rankings over on Raw. I did not mean to back out all the way into the main menu. Eventually I'll get the championship menu right on the first try. Alright, we start off as usual with the Raw women, and I forgot to book the Cruiserweight match for Raw. I apologize, I'll try to remember that next time. But anyways, Nikki Bella defeats Asuka. Nikki Bella remains #1 contender, and Asuka is champion, so no change there. The top 5, so no change in the rankings. The top 5 contenders to Asuka's Raw Women's Championship remain: #1 Nikki Bella, #2 Liv Morgan, #3 Bayley, #4 Dana Brooke, and #5 Lana. And now the Raw Tag Team Championship rankings. Sheamus and Cesaro defeated the Usos in non-title action, so the Usos are going to drop down to the bottom, #6. That's going to move up the Hype Bros to #5. New Day defeated the Miz Taraj. New Day moves up to #2. Miz Taraj falls to #5. The Hype Bros are going to move 2 spots out, even wrestling a match this week. And the top 5 contenders to the Raw Tag Team Championships, held by Cesaro and Sheamus, are #1 Authors of Pain, #2 New Day, #3 The Revival, #4 Hype Bros, and #5 The Miz Taraj. And now the Intercontinental Championship rankings. Dean Ambrose defeated Wesley Blake. Ambrose is not in these rankings. And Wesley Blake is going to fall to the bottom, #25. Rusev defeated Buddy Murphy. Rusev moves into the top 10 at #10. Murphy remains at the bottom, #26. I guess I was wrong. 25 was not the bottom. Kevin Owens defeats Braun Strowman. Somewhere in here is Owens. There we go. Owens moves up to #20. Strowman falls to #20, so Owens is actually going to move up 2 spots to #19. Brock Lesnar defeated Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think either of those 3, well, Nakamura's in these rankings. So Nakamura is going to fall down to #17. And the top 5 contenders to the Intercontinental Championship, held by WITM's Gerald, are #1 Sheamus, #2 the former champion Bobby Roode, #3 The Miz, #4 Xavier Woods, and #5 Big E. And now the Universal Championship rankings. Dean Ambrose defeated Blake. No change because Blake is not in these rankings and Ambrose is the Universal Champion. Rusev defeated Murphy. I don't think either of those men are in these rankings. They're not. Kevin Owens defeated Braun Strowman. Owens struggling in the Intercontinental Championship rankings, but moving up to #2 in the Universal title rankings. Brock Lesnar defeated Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. Lesnar moves up to #4. Balor falls to #8. And Nakamura is not in these rankings. And the top 5 contenders to the Universal Championship, held by Dean Ambrose, are number 1 Cesaro, number 2 Kevin Owens, number 3 Sheamus, number 4 Brock Lesnar, and number 5 Bobby Roode. And now we advance to SmackDown Live and see if Dalton Roush is in action. As we are just about a week and a half away from the SmackDown exclusive Battleground. Dalton is in action. It's going to be a rematch, this time a normal singles match, not a hardcore match, as he will get another non-title opportunity to put himself into the number 1 contendership and potentially lock himself into a WWE Championship match at Battleground with Dean Ambrose. So, a big matchup and a big opportunity for Dalton Roush in episode 228. Until then, this is Corey, signing off.